Welcome to the Sports Trebuchet podcast. I am Marty.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Josh.
We are back for episode 3. Before I get started with what we're going to be talking about, go ahead and rate, review, subscribe. Follow us at Sports Trebuchet on Twitter. Follow Kyle on Twitter at Third Down Fullback.
That's a 3.
We got him on that hell site. Yeah, that's 3, not third, spelled out. Or visit us at sportstrebuchet.com in case you need to know how to download an episode. But you're already listening, so you already know how to. Unless you're using Spotify, figure it out. Look at fucking Google it.
Hashtag facts are facts.
Facts are facts.
Look it up on your phone.
While you're driving still.
Especially when you're in motion.
Yeah, mostly between a green light. It's got to be a green light.
No, do it on a yellow.
Yeah, just mix things up. So we had 4 topics we're going to go through today. One of which is a question for Kyle that I'm going to beat him down with here in a second.
The weekly Kyle ass kicking.
The weekly Kyle ass whipping regarding the Jaguars. This is the official, unofficial Jacksonville Jaguars podcast.
Blake
Welcome.
Bortles.
It's called Blort Podkals. We're then going to go over franchises that we think their respective leagues would be better without, or that just kind of need to fuck off in general. We may power rank them. We'll see what the time allows, but mostly these are teams we're sick of seeing and that I think everyone would be okay with leaving, including their fan bases. And then we're going to look to do a little bit of sports entertainment talk with the top 5 WWE betrayals as we see them. And then because it's recent, it happened 2 days ago, we're going to go over the story of Rae Carruth to celebrate. I don't want to spoil it because Josh has no idea who Rae Carruth is, so it's a learning lesson.
To celebrate Rae Carruth Day?
To celebrate Rae Carruth Day. Officially Rae Carruth Day. So, to get started...
It's funny because I haven't got a clue what you're
You got no fucking
idea.
It's coming... Listen, it's going to hit you
You're gonna
like...
enjoy it.
It's gonna come at you like you're sitting at a red light and bullets are just going to fly. Just Tupac style.
I wonder if that's a...
Is that a hint?
Yeah.
You'll have to listen further to know.
Yes, you will.
All right, so did the Jags win this weekend?
You know the answer to that, no?
Okay, so the Jags didn't win. What I wanted to ask Kyle was only starting quarterbacks currently, not bench starters, who's starting the league right now, and we've got pulled up the depth chart of every quarterback position in the NFL. What quarterback wouldn't he trade Blake Bortles for to be a starter for the Jacksonville Jaguars? So, like, obviously, this is for a year, not for, like, building a franchise. Like, you'd pick Tom Brady, obviously, to play for a year.
Yeah, I'm not taking him past this year.
Right,
Just for the rest of this year.
Yeah, because his left leg's going to fall off soon.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I don't know what's going to be better. You picking and choosing and thinking about it, or would you like me to just start reading off names?
Reading off the top. Let's go from the top.
Okay, and you tell me.
We allowed to swear on this?
Yeah.
I said fuck 5 times.
Alright, sorry.
Fuck, man.
Fuck off, guys.
Just wanted to make sure we're being PG.
What are your kids listening?
Well, we're listening to sports entertainment talk, so I know that they're going to be...
No, I want something that in 18 years my daughter can listen to and be totally embarrassed.
As if she doesn't listen to it now.
She really does. We play it for her before she goes to bed. She's a big fan.
Defo sends her to sleep, I bet.
She's the only person that submits questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to tweet us at @SportsTrebuchet or SportsTrebuchetPod at I can't read the fucking thing because they're talking over me. Or at sportstrebuchetpod@gmail.com. I don't care. They're talking over me. That's the entire podcast. All right. So I'm going to list them. Only stop me when you think that they'd be worse this year as a Jaguars quarterback. Okay? Derek Anderson.
Yes, he would be.
So,
Bold.
Are you sure? But Derek Anderson has had good games.
Yeah, he's old, and I don't think that he's mobile enough.
Well, so is Tom Brady. Tom Brady's old.
Yeah, but he's
not mobile.
He'd be fine. He can elevate a team. Derek Anderson
Just
is a career backup. Now.
Okay, so before I go to the next name, did you get the when he was with Arizona and he was laughing on the sidelines after throwing I think 4 picks or something on a Monday Night Football? and people were up in arms about how he was treating. Do you care about that shit? Like, honestly?
Not real.
The motherfucker's making millions. If he cries about throwing a pick, then, like, there's a thing is too competitive.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there you can definitely...
Right, because, like, the too competitive would be, like, the Ray Lewises of the world.
Yeah.
Who, like, stoop to, like, murder. So the next name is Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, take him.
You take Ryan over.
I'd take Tannehill.
Okay. So we're going to skip Tom Brady. That's an obvious yes. Sam Darnold.
Ooh.
He's really...
I would take him at this point.
Better than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I think I'd take him.
Considering who's around him. Okay, so far, Derek Anderson's the only one you would not take, which is what we're trying to accomplish here. Joe Flacco.
I'd probably take him at this point.
Okay. Andy Dalton.
Oh, Andy Dalton.
100%, dude. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, Andy Dalton's bad. He really shits the bed.
Is it his... Oh, my. No, listen, so does everybody. But, like, Andy Dalton is a top...
Yeah, I'd probably
top
take him.
Half quarterback.
I'd take him.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I would.
Fuck that.
He can move.
Yeah. He's a piece of shit. Ben Roethlisberger.
No, I'm just judging on this year. I'd probably take him just for this year.
Yeah, Big Ben would help that offense more than what Blake's done.
You can take him
100%.
Yeah, I think so. 100%.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Luck Andrew.
Yeah.
I just read it. Luck Andrew.
Yeah, even though he'd probably die.
That's the... Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right, so Andrew Luck with only one arm, not his throwing arm, would he be better than Blake Bortles?
He'd probably still be more accurate.
Probably be more accurate. I think so, too. Just be underneath passes.
Would I take Blake Bortles?
Would you take Blake Bortles over Blake Bortles?
Push.
Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
I know you hate the Titans.
No, and here's the only reason that I'm wavering is that he is the only other quarterback in the league that is below below 100 QB rating.
A worthless stat.
No, to open receivers. He misses open receivers too. That's so.
Okay, I see that. Is that statistic factor in hits by any chance of him getting just like obliterated?
It's not going to change in Jacksonville.
That's true. So you wouldn't take Marcus Mariota over Blake?
I probably would, but it would be very, very close.
Well, here's what my argument would be to keep Blake. Would be Marcus is... No, fuck that. Marcus has got better legs. Even though the system in Jacksonville is not necessarily built.
Blake Bortles
does not have the legs that Marcus Mariota.
Blake Bortles is the third for rushing yards per carry. NFL all time, he's number 3 behind Michael Vick and Randall Cunningham.
So
8.6 yards per carry.
So right, but like running because you're fast and running for your life and happening to be pointing north, he just is really good at throwing the ball away. I wonder if they're taking net yardage, like if they're subtracting sacks from anybody. I know that
maybe
they don't.
I don't know. I don't know, but I know that like when he actually gets out and runs, and he does, they do.
This is okay. So this is third per carry, right?
Per carry.
So if he's run it 10 times for 100 yards, he'd have a 10-yard per carry. So
yeah,
it'd be pretty good. He doesn't run it that often, though, right?
He gets out and moves quite a bit. That's one of his better.
I can't believe Aaron Rodgers doesn't have him on that because I feel like every time Aaron
Bortles
Rodgers
is fairly quick and he's big.
He was a lot quicker in college too. I felt like he was really great in college.
Okay.
Case Keenum.
Yeah, I'd probably take him. He kind of seems like a bit of a Bortles reboot, but
yeah, I think he's probably a better pure passer too. Patrick Mahomes.
Never, of course I did.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, I think I take over everybody.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers, you take him.
Yeah.
Derek Carr.
Now this is interesting because they're talking about it.
The Jags are.
There's been talk of it, but I don't know if there's because the Raiders are like in fire mode.
They're wholesale.
I don't know if the Jags can eat that contract, but
if you're paying, let's push this aside before we go any further. Everyone's making the same that Bortles is making right now for the year.
Okay.
Because remember, this is for a 1-year thing.
Okay, 1 year.
So it doesn't matter the implication for salary caps.
I probably would take Derek Carr over Bortles.
Books without borders. Dak Prescott.
This is a big push for me. To my
really
a little bit. I don't trust Dak's accuracy.
I wonder if, because I don't care about the Cowboys, but we watch a lot of their games still.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many throws that I think, man, like, what the fuck are you doing, Prescott? It's mostly like, please God, don't die. And also, like, small factor, his most successful receiver was also a one-trick pony. So, like, Dez was largely ineffective, not because of, a lot of people used to blame it on Dak. When it was as seen by him not being signed by anybody, it was Dez. I don't know how Blake's better than Dak.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more of a
I guess if Dak's playing with that staff, right? You're on like your third running back, and the receivers are average.
Because we've seen,
which is what Dak's playing with now, and they're struggling.
We've seen this year where Bortles has had games where he's thrown for 370 yards against the Patriots.
Yeah.
He was super accurate against the Jets.
But also like that piece of shit Mitch Trubisky threw for a lot over the Patriots too. So it's not like
It's an absolutely valid point.
Eli Manning.
Can't wait for this one.
It's honestly.
I honestly don't think I would take him just because I think he would die.
A
good man.
I agree.
It's not. It has less to do with Eli Manning's arm and more to do with the fact that he's old, he's not mobile, and I think he would get killed. And do you really want to put Eric Flowers blocking him
He
again?
can't put it in the vicinity for Odell. I don't know how he's going to do it for the receivers.
Yeah, that's the other thing. He's got Odell Beckham. He's got Eric. Evan Ingram. He's got Sterling Shepard, and he's got Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, Plaxico Burress.
Amani Toomer.
Oh man, I forgot about him. Carson Wentz, you take him.
Yep.
I'm going to answer that for you. Alex Smith is an interesting one, I think, too.
He doesn't turn the ball over, so yeah.
That's actually a really sound choice. Yeah, Mitch Trubisky.
I would.
Good man.
He's got a big arm.
But Dak, are you fucking kidding me? This is a shit list. Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, yes. Yeah. Kirk Cousins, yes. Besides the fact that Kirk Cousins is like one of the best quarterbacks under pressure because he has to be, it's like really impressive. So he'd be able to.
They should have offered him all the money in the world.
Yeah, the Redskins are idiots. Even though Alex Smith is not like an awful replacement.
Jacksonville are idiots for not.
Right. Oh yeah, I didn't even consider the fact.
I mean, after last year, I guess they just assumed they were fine when anybody without Jags glasses on knew they weren't.
Yeah, they thought they had a tank.
If you're protecting the quarterback and he's not turning the ball over,
right,
which he wasn't last year, Jacksonville's fine.
And you have
the fact that he's turning the ball over.
And you have a Pro Bowl running back as well. That's hurt.
Yeah.
we have all the running backs that are hurt.
I think I can probably answer it for you. Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, and Drew, you'd take over him.
Yes.
Jameis Winston.
Judging how he's played so far this year, yes.
Okay. I mean, when Jameis is, I hate him.
Oh no!
But when he's really good and clicking, man, it's frustrating to watch.
Put Fitz in there too, please.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. We're gonna.
Yeah, I take it.
Why not?
I take
if you're gonna have to throw anyways because your running game's going.
Even as a backup, just because I like Cody Kessler, but I don't think Fitzpatrick's a better guy to.
Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick, realistically too, in this situation, Bortles is on the bench. Bortles probably learns more from Ryan than he does, obviously, from Kessler.
Yeah, valid.
If you're thinking about it that way. Jared Goff, of course.
Yes.
Russell Wilson, of course. Josh Rosen.
I've already mentioned this to you. I would not, just because I think he'd be entering the same situation
as he's in now,
and he's not effective. They just promoted Byron Leftwich to their offensive coordinator.
The Cardinals did?
Yes.
I didn't know Byron Leftwich was working.
Yeah, he was the QB coach there.
Poor Josh Rosen's going to get fucking ruined.
Yeah, so now he's going to learn how to throw the ball like a pitcher.
Christ. Like he's shot putting.
And then CJ Beathard.
He's not bad.
I don't know how much I don't know how much I trust him in that offense right now.
I don't trust anybody in that offense. That's why I guess here's I think a fact. Every quarterback that we've listed, aside from maybe two, would be more fun even in failure with the Jags than Bortles.
Yep.
Just because when he's bad, he looks really, really bad.
Yep.
So like,
I'll agree.
I think I think it'd be interesting because I think Dak I think you're right about the push because if they don't lean into what Dak can do, then what's the point?
Yeah, if they're not running.
Yeah, or if they do what the Cowboys do, which is or the Cowboys put them in motion a whole bunch. The problem with the Cowboys bit is they use the same motion over and over again and over and over again, and then dipshit just claps on the sidelines instead of coach. Okay, cool. So that was I'm unreasonably mad about Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't even honestly I don't hate him. I don't love him. His first name's Dakota, for fuck's sake. Yeah. But
is it? I didn't know that. I just always knew Dak.
I just don't think that.
You said you wanted to eat his firstburn child. That's a quote.
I think he'd be delicious.
Well, why would you say that? Would it be because he's seasoned?
Man. He should have been on our list last week.
He really should have been. You know what?
You know what? Him at quarterback.
Rewrite it. Dak Prescott, number 1 athlete we'd like to fuck. That's for you, Kyle. I'm not going to say your last name. Definitely didn't go back and scrub his last name either. I just put it out in the ether. So
good.
He'll be famous one day.
Or dead.
Or dead.
Depending on who listens.
Yeah, it depends. It really depends on how many enemies he has, which is a lot, more than likely. So what we wanted to do,
one person that might kill him.
What we wanted to do now, focusing from players individually to overall teams. This was the listener request.
The one that might be famous and or dead.
The one that may or may not be famous or dead one day. He'll definitely be dead one day. I can guarantee that. It's just we're all heading there. Time, it's poison, man. He wanted us to power rank the franchises that needed to fold or just get destroyed, removed from the league, whichever. So there's kind of a lot of license. We were thinking about how to handle this, and I think what we're going to do is start listing off some teams. We may power rank them, but we're probably just going to give team name, why we think they're garbage, etc., and try to keep it the theme of this podcast is going to be hey, we're going to try to keep it short, and we never will. So keep that in mind when you think this is going to be a quick 10-minute bit. It's probably going to be 15. Sit in your car before you go to work to listen to it. Do whatever you got to do to get the whole episode in.
I mean, winter's coming, right? So just let the car heat up.
Yeah, for fuck's sake. Yeah, that's a good point.
Before you start driving.
Yeah, this rambling can be your defrost, and then allow the heat of Sports Trebuchet to wash over you. So the
Superior Heat Podcast.
So the Superior Heat Podcast. Trebuchet.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so let's do franchises that can just go sack off, I believe is the British term. Let's start in Josh's home. Charlotte, North. No, I'm just kidding. Soccer, right? English soccer. Okay. And you know what? Actually, it's not just English soccer. If you think there's a piece of shit Chinese team, not to be specific to Chinese, but Italian, a La Liga, listen, the Korean league, garbage teams all over. Just
good names though.
They really are, and awkward logos, but sweet shit. Hot Water City. Welcome to the Hot Water City podcast. I wanted to change the name of it so bad after that. I think the obvious one is
MK Dons.
MK Dons. And the reasoning is
they are a fucking franchise.
Right.
That's the problem. So Wimbledon were a football team that used to play. They were in the top flight at one point in the Premier League. They had financial issues and they had to wind up. So they were given the option to just fold and literally fold, as is the list, and start again. Somebody took them over, or they were already in charge, I can't remember now, but they decided that instead of folding, they would just relocate to a new area of the UK and just start afresh in Milton Keynes. And in England, that is it was unheard of at the time, and it's unheard of ever since. And they are commonly known as the franchise, in a not endearing term whatsoever. So, I mean,
in the exact opposite way it means in any American sport.
Now, in all fairness to the fans, they actually did build their own Phoenix club as AFC Wimbledon, and so satisfyingly, 10-15 years since its formation, they are now above MK Dons in the professional football league.
So they at least shared a league 1 year, though, right? Or did they?
Yes.
was hoping that would happen and not one get relegated, one get promoted, and they just skip each
So
other.
that was it was really close, but they did share a year together, and that was the year MK went down, which was super
Now,
satisfying.
if they're referred to as the franchise, what would happen if Mark Sanchez ended up playing for them as the Sanchez?
Or better yet, they were general managed by Stevie franchise of the former NBA Rockets.
Steve Francis, yes.
Steve Francis.
Or we could just put them all together and send them out to sea.
You know what?
In a
Honestly,
barrel.
I've seen enough
Steve
of Mark
Francis
Mark-
would deserve it, frankly.
I've seen enough of Sanchez.
Who
to
played in
do
China,
the same
pretty
thing.
sure.
Oh, I think he did. He's probably got stock in a couple of those teams. So I think that's a pretty awesome list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe off AFC Wimbledon and make them start again. Just make them fucking let's see if they can do it 3 times and just fuck them up. So why? So for some reason I always thought it was Leeds, but it wasn't Leeds. Leeds just used to be an
Really
EPL
super,
team,
super
and then they
good.
tanked, right?
Right, so Leeds were good, and they were very good, but they spent far too much money for their means, especially at the time, and then they had to go into administration and sank. So, like, most teams, when they go into administration, they take, like, a points deduction or something like that, and they fall down the leagues, as is, like, because they can't. So, at one point, Leeds were...
Is it like soccer bankruptcy, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, at one point, Leeds, I believe, it was either -15 or -30 they started the year on. And they were put at the bottom of the league, and they had to get out.
Kidding me?
And that's their punishment for going into administration. And it
Jeez,
effectively kills them, right? Like, they're gonna go down.
Yeah.
And I think they actually survived that year, funnily enough. I don't want to give them too much credit because they're fucking dicks, but
nuts.
they did stay up, I think. But there's been more than them. There's been a fair few teams that have had it happen. Palace have gone into administration twice and cheated the tax man with bankruptcy loopholes and then came back, which is why they have no right
They're
to
the
be
Jimmy
where they
Carr
are
of-
either.
That's
Yeah,
just-
effectively. They're just, I mean, they're a shithole as it is, but yeah.
So they went -30, even if it was -15. So it was a soccer equivalent of being born in Detroit, essentially, basically, because Detroit's fucked. Would you put Blackpool up there so they could restart and revive that legacy? Because I remember you saying Blackpool.
I would put their owners in it.
Yeah.
So the problem with the owners of Blackpool is the fans and the owners aren't the same thing. So I wouldn't want them to go away because the fans don't deserve it. But the owners are refusing to leave the club, and they're effectively keeping the club hostage.
So what's keeping Blackpool fans from doing what Wimbledon did? Nothing. Money, probably. I mean, obviously, but like.
So, for when Brighton were in the same situation and their owners were holding them hostage in the late 90s, we raided the stadium, we climbed with grappling hooks into the chairman office to kill him and hired hitmen to have him dead.
And you're saying we in a matter of that you led this entire endeavor.
Oh yeah, it was all me. I was 7 years old. Some call me Boy Genius.
Yeah.
No, so the
Why were you
Brighton
not
fan
living in Ireland,
collective...
That's how he became Bane. It became
The Brighton fan collective went through this, and that's what they did. Not condoning some of the things they did, but that's what they did.
So maybe Blackpool can hire like a professional to take care of it.
So Blackpool...
Cleaner, yeah.
Blackpool have done some pretty violent things, but in the late 2000s, it's a lot more easy to televise it, and they get in a lot more trouble than we did.
Right.
Because
that makes
because
sense.
of the time, like it's
Sure.
like it's all over Twitter, it's all over Facebook, it's all over the internet. Like in '96, like it's just not the same problem.
Yeah.
Like they could get away with it.
Twitter handle.
Yeah, he's already on Twitter and we've got him off of it.
Yeah, because I need to be able to do these violent
Because
things.
Kyle's a cop and he'll report every one of those Blackpool fuckers immediately.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to speed things up by listing a few teams and kind of keeping short notes. So I'm going to do the NFL next. 1A for me is the Titans.
Okay.
The mighty, mighty Titans. But the reason is...
Wait, what's this? The NFL?
Yeah, the NFL.
Okay.
So I think the Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans
Can both go.
can both go. And the reason is because I think you can replace those two with the Oilers again. I think it should
Yeah, but then you have to add somebody else to that division.
add a London team.
Okay.
Yeah, baby.
Or here's another solution, because you just lost what is that? 2 AFC teams. Let's take out an NFC team and balance it out. And that's my 1B, the Charlotte Panthers, because fuck 'em.
Charlotte Panthers.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carolina Panthers. You know why it's not? If it was the Charlotte Panthers, I'd be cool with it. But like
anything to put Cam Newton on his ass.
Anything, not even that. It's everybody that lives in this fucking city that are Panthers fans. Go ahead and take that, Kyle. Do you need to take that? So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go Thanos on it and just take out Titans, Texans, Panthers, replace the Oilers, who stay in the AFC, and then move some from the AFC into the NFC, or whatever that balance looks like.
Okay.
That work?
Sure.
I think that's good shit.
I mean, I don't give a flying fuck about the Titans. You can do that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't like them.
The Titans have largely nothing in history because everything that they had, even when they moved, was from when they were with the Houston Oilers. It was Eddie George and Steve McNair.
Frank Wycheck. And Steve
McNair finally got it through his head that he didn't want to be in Tennessee anymore.
They're just a very beige team, aren't they?
I think their colors are blue and red.
Yeah, but they just
I'm
beige. Just beige.
No, their colors are blue, white, and under blue.
It's frustrating because they're like a really beige franchise, but like as a team, they've always had like characters. Who was that? The mixed dude that was a cornerback that was just an absolute bastard. Before you answer, do you know what I'm talking about? He was a piece of shit cornerback that used to talk shit and hit people.
Cortland Finnegan?
Cortland Finnegan was on the team. So Kyle's taking a call because he doesn't respect the podcast. So Josh and I will continue. There's what NFL team, Josh? With your, I don't want to say limited and sound like I'm demeaning.
No, it is limited. Like I can tell you loads about the last 2 or 3 years because like that's only when I started following a sport, and when I started deciding to follow a sport, I like hardcore get into it. But for me, and I know this is a sketchy one because I know that they're actually not worthy of being on this list because of the background. But for me, as someone who came in like 2 or 3 years ago, followed it all, the fucking Buffalo Bills are a waste of time.
Yeah, you're right.
They're a waste of time. They're a waste of energy. They're crap. They don't do anything. They've never done anything since I've started following them, and they're just an obnoxious team. The only thing I like is their uniforms. That's about it, and that's because it's blue and white.
The fans are shit.
The fans are shit.
Oh god, the Buffalo, the
but
Bills Mafia.
They do throw people through tables, though.
They
are the Dudleys of the NFL.
Yeah,
and let me tell you, I fucking hated the Dudleys. Like, not a fan.
They're the Steve Blackman of the NFL.
I mean,
Steve Blackman had talent.
They were definitely 3 of 3 when it comes to the Hardys, the Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys. No. They rolled out at third.
Sure.
For sure.
So Kyle,
yeah, get rid of the Bills too.
What was that call about though? So important.
So I got a voicemail. It was actually GameStop telling me that they're doing a 9 p.m. Red Dead Redemption tomorrow night.
Nice.
I thought it was my wife calling from a store in Denver.
Store in Denver.
Denver, North Carolina.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say if it's.
I was like, what the fuck is she doing?
It's Colorado. I've got a list.
Well, she did text me. And said there was a spider in her car, and she was standing next to an O'Reilly's Auto Parts because she was so deathly afraid of spiders.
So what was she wearing?
Don't remember. I saw her this morning.
Sounds sexy.
Nothing.
So Kyle whispered to me as Josh blew up his spot. That was your answer.
Buffalo was going to be one of mine. I've got others.
Oh, well, I feel that's bad.
No.
Because I feel like they're a really, aged team. That,
but they're still bullshit.
No, I mean, honestly,
right,
Buffalo was like a top 3 for me, and I thought that it was too easy, so I tried doing some magic.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, exactly.
Got some other low-hanging fruit for you.
So some low-hanging fruit. Go.
Arizona Cardinals.
Really?
Yeah. They do nothing for me.
They've been the doormat of the NFC for so long. Even when they got good for a second.
They also, for the longest time, were playing in the NFC East, which makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, they used to be in the NFC East. Yeah, it used to be Redskins, Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, Arizona Cardinals.
Hey, let's talk about the fact that the NFC West had the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons as well.
Yeah, this is what happens when you add teams and you don't have a plan.
Without any thought process
it's
whatsoever.
Awful. It's awful.
I want to say New Orleans might have been out there too.
I think so. It was no. New Orleans was in the same division as the Packers, weren't they?
Tampa Bay was.
Tampa Bay was. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay were in the
Tampa
north.
Bay in the
Central.
Packers.
No, the Central. There was no North.
It was the
Oh,
same.
okay.
Yeah, it was just the West, the Central, and the.
Maybe we should do an episode on that.
On realignment in NFL history.
It was about the fuckery. That
Well, see, because here's the other part. I was going to do the New York. I thought about the New York Jets, and
I also thought about them.
the only reason I kept them in there was because of Joe Namath, and because they were such a big bookmark in the NFL AFL merger.
Mm-hmm.
If they hadn't won and the Colts had won that Super Bowl, then I would give no fucks because they wouldn't have done anything since either.
Yeah.
Tell you who else fits that bill of I forgot you were there. The Bengals for me.
A little bit.
And the funny part is, growing up, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know how it was in New York, but the Bengals were like the laughing stock of the league for a really, really long time. The way the Browns are now
Is what they were then.
is what they definitely were then for me growing up, because it was just like, oh cool, you got like, what was it, Alki Smith, and it was like
Achilles Smith.
Achilles Smith.
Yeah.
Alki is what we call him.
Throwing John Kitten out there.
Yeah, just it was a constant embarrassment.
Well, do you want to actually, if you're going to talk about the early to mid 90s and being an embarrassment until 96, fucking Patriots, man.
That's true.
They were not good. They were good in the 80s. They had their day, but that early.
Well, they
90s,
won with Parcells and then fell off again,
Yeah.
right? Or was Parcells the 90s?
Parcells was 90s when they had Bledsoe. Yeah. Let's move on. Let's keep
Okay,
this moving.
so
Crack on to sports I don't know about.
okay, so we'll do two sports real quick and we'll hit them just to get it over with. My team for the NBA is the Clippers, and the only reason is I mentioned to you this before the podcast. I hate two team cities, only because I think it's dumb, and like I think there's a part of it, and I'm guilty of it. If you're born in LA, you don't have to cheer the Lakers. You don't need a team for LA.
Mm-hmm.
And like us growing up with the Cowboys, the Cowboys, the Bulls, and the Yankees doing what they were doing in the 90s. And it's just like there's fucking shithead Cowboy fans all over the country, shithead Yankee fans all over the country.
I'm one of them.
You are probably the one.
Worst.
The worst.
Easily the worst.
Yeah,
Yankees.
he's the lead. You're the leader of that army. But who gives a fuck? Because I see as many Cleveland Cavalier fans from Ohio that I do that aren't from Ohio. And, like, who cares? Like, it mattered in the 90s when that's the only TV you got.
Yeah.
But I can watch the entire season of CSK Moscow in Russia, if I want to, in my living room.
True facts.
So, like, I think that'd be a larger fun episode to talk about, like, the impact of technology and how it relates to, home sports, because home sports. This is a home sports podcast. Thank you for listening. Follow us at Sports Trebuchet. Tweet us questions, what you want us to talk about. Who's your NBA team?
I mean, the obvious one is the Sacramento Kings, but I'm not going to touch that low-hanging fruit right now.
Okay.
Memphis Grizzlies.
Will you touch my low-hanging fruit? Memphis? Are you fucking
Yeah.
me? See, I thought about Memphis for a second. You give me your reason before I go off.
It's a failed franchise in Vancouver, so they moved into Memphis. And
All
what
cards,
have they done?
Yeah, all cards on the table. I forgot they were Vancouver at one point. But I have... Memphis is one of the most underrated cities in the... So this is purely biased, right?
Sure.
Memphis is one of the coolest fucking cities in the country.
Okay.
That is similar to Detroit, like half really bad. Because it's just like any other... the fucking poverty's rough there. Memphis is cool as shit.
Well, here's the thing. Like this is a weird position for me because I have nothing against Memphis, the Grizzlies. I don't mind the team.
I think you mentioned that like if a nuclear bomb were to land, you'd prefer it was in Memphis.
Sure.
It's a beautiful place.
It's
I think Memphis.
Yeah, freeze it in glass.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it wouldn't hurt to have a bit of a nuclear winter there, but it's not a bad place.
I don't hate the Grizzlies.
It's a waste of time.
I don't think that they bring anything to the league.
Yeah, I think, and it's unfortunate because I think Memphis, the same way that Nashville, I don't think deserves the Titans. Memphis deserves more pro sports because I think they're a really great fan base.
But if I really,
but I can't disagree with your choice.
And then the Kings. I mean, if you're gonna do it, that's your first choice because that franchise is absolute horseshit.
Well, and this is probably a bigger discussion, but like. Honestly, 6 teams less, the NBA is probably more fun, period.
Yeah.
And you could say that for almost any league.
Yeah.
Because more talent across all teams is good for everybody.
I'll give you one. The Utah Jazz. What a dickhead name.
See, so the Utah Jazz...
I'm just giving you a name.
You know what, though?
Just annoying.
You know why they're called the Jazz?
No, but it better be a really good reason.
It's not because Mormons like jazz music. It's because they were originally New Orleans.
Oh, well, now that makes me... That's even more a reason for them to go away.
And that's... see, well,
the fact that they moved and kept a name that doesn't suit Utah whatsoever.
Well, I mean, neither does the Lakers, though. Do you know why they're the Lakers?
No.
Because they were Minneapolis, Minnesota Lakers.
And Minnesota's the land of 1,000 lakes. Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot... So...
This country sports, man.
Which is fucked, right? Because here's a crazy thing. We're going to go to baseball... And baseball has the Minnesota Twins for the Twin Cities and the Texas Rangers because the obvious Texas Rangers. They were both the Washington Generals, if I remember correctly. But they were both Senators. Washington Senators out in D.C. And they both moved and changed their names, and there was no big deal. Because it fit where they were going.
Let's talk about this because it's an old list. The Charlotte Hornets moved to New Orleans.
Because we were the Bobcats in Charlotte, right?
We were originally the Charlotte Hornets here. They moved to New Orleans.
Yep.
And then it was the New Orleans Hornets at that point.
Yep.
Charlotte developed an expansion team and had to call them the Bobcats. Well,
because I've seen their icon or badge or whatever.
It's awful. It's
hideous. It's terrible.
Looks like a sock puppet cat.
They made the smart decision to purchase the Hornets name back from New Orleans, and New Orleans became the Pelicans.
Why the Pelicans? That doesn't sit well with me either.
Well, because Pelicans hold all their water below their beak, just like New Orleans holds literally all the water below sea level because they're a hell city destined to get wiped away. It doesn't make sense. I just wanted to take a shot at New Orleans because it's
for their levees.
It's an overrated. Memphis is clean New Orleans. How about that? How about that?
Fair enough. Not water drenched New Orleans.
And then for major, it's New Orleans that doesn't get that aren't drowning after a short piss.
Unsoggy New Orleans.
And then baseball is kind of tricky because there aren't as many franchises. When's the last time they added a team? Can you even remember? They'd be the Diamondbacks in the '90s, right?
It would be the Diamondbacks and the Rays. Yeah, because Nationals were technically a move.
Ooh, yeah. Oh wait, the Nationals were the
Expos.
You're right. I fucking forgot about the Expos existing. So there's still a lot of history, I think, intertwined, except for a couple of those teams. My team is the San Diego Padres, mostly because I'm ready for that city to have nothing now. Just
just pure pain.
San Diego has the best weather in the entire country year round.
Fucking sports team.
They don't need a fucking sports team. Go hang out by the beach. It's fucking 75, 80 degrees every day. Water's warm. Surf's up. Point Break. Padres can go get fucked. That's my list.
All right. My baseball team is the Tampa Bay Rays. They don't draw.
Yeah.
All the people that go to those games are fans of the other teams that come in.
Secretly garbage stadium.
It's a terrible, terrible stadium. I mean, what other stadium can you hit a ball and get caught in the scaffolding?
Great scene.
But that's all. But I mean, like, if you're gonna blame scaffolding for being, if scaffolding's crazy, then how about that bullshit Boston Red Sox Green Monster shit? Because that's just as much of an abomination to the game of baseball as fucking scaffolding is. Don't at me. It's a fucking 50-foot wall in left field.
Yeah, but it's
a 50-foot wall.
Yeah, but it's also
Josh.
It also makes it like. It's also super, super close, like a softball field.
which is garbage. There's professionals playing. Okay, so you have your dimensions. Oh, that's such a shitty picture. Let's just zoom in on it. So your normal baseball field coming out here, right? And then it starts getting deeper, you think, and then it gets shallow, and then this fucking fence that you've got to hit over is obnoxious. Look at that's a person. That's a person for scale.
Yeah, that looks like it looks like a half-done thing.
And
it looks like a half-done stadium.
Well, and I think some argument is to be made that it makes up for the other side. The other side's so easy to hit over the fence because it's not a fence. It's basically like over here for distance. You're right, but like
all you do is pop the ball up to left field.
You're right, but like, should every fucking left fielder have to field off a wall? Like it's fucking wall ball? Like where they're playing highlight?
It's hard for me to hate.
It's highlight. It's fucking highlight.
I hate the Red Sox.
I hate highlight.
I have a hard time hating on that stadium.
We're going to do the NHL, but we're running along on time, so fuck it.
Yep.
And so we have two things.
Get rid of the Caps. Fuck you, Mike.
Yeah, fuck Caps. Fuck the Caps. They finally won a championship. Go out on a high note. Eat shit. Eat shit.
Dead.
Peter Bonder was your best player. We're going to do the story of Rae Carruth to end. Do you want to knock out the WWE betrayals?
Yeah,
we're at 41
guys.
minutes. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
End of the month. We have enough storage. Yeah. So we're going to go over the top 5 WWE betrayals. And I think the hardest part I had, and I don't know if y'all had the same thing, because it came because Josh found a list, right? And you said that the list is garbage. It's what WWE had put out.
WWE's top 10 list of betrayals, and I can't find it anymore. But
that's how bad it was. They fucking.
I genuinely think they may have deleted it because fourth or sixth on that list was the Bellas betraying Ronda Rousey,
which had happened like the week.
Which happened that day. So
it was before the show actually.
When I saw it, I was like texting you and I was like, "That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. We need to fix this immediately."
Well, far from it from the WWE to put out something absurd,
right?
Like a show in Saudi Arabia.
In the first place.
So the betrayal part, I thought of it a couple of different ways. One is like the attack part, right? Like your normal turn, breakup of a tag team or whatever, like the Shawn Michaels Marty Jannetty bit.
Fair.
One could be like not necessarily turning on somebody, but like realigning with somebody, whatever. I know you have 6, Kyle. I have 5. You have 5.
I have 5.
Okay. Do y'all want... I have in no particular order for me. Do y'all want to go bam, bam, like Kyle, Josh, me? Kyle, Josh, me?
Yeah, because I think we're going to have a bunch of the same. So if you say one and we both have it on there, we can just talk about that.
I'm not a basic bitch, Josh. I wouldn't... Bills. Look at these guys. The fucking Bills guys. Y'all aren't going to have any repeats of what I have. Okay. I can fucking guarantee it. Well, if you don't, I'll get a tattoo of that betrayal on my ass.
Oh, mate, I hope you do. I only have the same on one of these. Can we get it by a picture?
We've got 11 of them right here.
Joke's on you. I can delete this motherfucker. You can't see it. So, let's go.
By all means, you start.
Oh, me start? Okay,
yeah,
so I'm going to go ahead and list off 3 that I didn't use, right? These were the top 5.
Honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions, all right?
Well, no, because if you say no, just do your 5. Because if your honorable mentions are ones that we have as our top 5,
I'm pretty sure you're not going to have them. So
okay,
I can almost guarantee it.
So my honorable mention after this.
Yeah, so my honorable mention would one of them would be the Zip Line's betrayal of Owen Hart.
Okay.
Right behind.
What was a life changer? Right behind
it was. Listen, he just snapped.
His fall from grace is pretty serious.
They always said if you give Owen Hart enough rope to hang himself with, he'll go head first into a turnbuckle.
Funny, they said that about Benoit too.
Well, that's funny you say that because the next one is the Bowflex's betrayal of Chris Benoit.
What about his betrayal of his dogs?
Or how about the enclosed pool area betraying the dogs? That's another good one. I took that off the list. That wasn't top 8. And then the last honorable mention I had was the universe's betrayal of the entire Von Erich family. Because I don't know if you know who the Von Erichs are, but they're a very big deal you'll probably hear about with any historical wrestling thing.
I have heard of them in different.
They were fucking cursed. Their dad wrestled in the Midwest. Fritz Von Erich. which was, by the way, a Nazi gimmick which played in the 40s and 50s. Right, as a heel. He kept the Von Erich name when he moved to Dallas. They were a huge wrestling family across the South. And every one of his sons, like, one lost a foot, one just died. I think one committed suicide. Like, it was bad times. It was all rough. And I think Fritz might have just ended it a rough way, too. The Von Erich family was cursed. So let's get to Kyle's honorable mention, which is actually a real thing, and not my 3 bits.
Yes. My honorable mention was, just because it's kind of a shit storyline, but Stephanie being captured by her dad when he was the power, was the higher power. It's me, Austin, it's me all along, that whole deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he kidnapped... Is that Where To Stephanie?
That's Where To Stephanie.
Where To Stephanie.
That's The Undertaker doing it. And Vince kidnapped his own daughter to get back at Austin? It doesn't make any sense.
Was this the beginning of the corporate ministry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, because it was just the ministry at that point, and then when he revealed himself as the higher power,
that's when they aligned.
And just after the corporation too, right? Like it was kind of they were all within a year.
Oh, I think that the
it's fucking semantics.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my honorable mention.
I think we need to make it clear that this list is in memory of Roman Reigns. R.I.P. Big guy.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. That's who I took off my mention was. It was Roman Reigns' health betraying him.
Which is entirely fair.
Well, he was going to job out to leukemia, and then leukemia was going to tag Lou Gehrig and just really tear up Roman's body completely. God. Yeah, that's. I couldn't figure. Oh, you know what? And you know who their manager would be? It'd be Lou Puss.
All right, here we go.
What about Lou Albano?
I'm going to retire Captain. I think he had lupus.
Okay. All right, Carl. Number 5.
My number 5?
Yes.
Okay, this is why I asked you last night if it had to be a heel turn or something like that. Batista betraying Evolution.
By going to Hollywood.
No.
Oh, okay.
So, if you remember correctly, Batista had won a shot at a world title, and he's out there. Triple H is like, "Oh yeah, go to SmackDown, and get it." Well, he looked at Triple H. You know, he was doing the thumbs up. He looked at Triple H, and all of a sudden did thumbs down, took the Raw contract and signed that so he would take on Triple H.
I recall that.
So this is a thumbs down, like the clip I always see of Batista. I wasn't watching that.
No,
so that's a different one, and that's actually...
Is that when Randy Orton was on his shoulders and there was a thumb up and thumb down?
Yeah. Do you have that on your list?
That's my number 4.
Well, me too, so we can talk about that while we're here.
Okay, so yeah, Randy Orton...
Yeah, y'all roll with it. Right?
Randy Orton...
while we're talking Evolution.
Wins the champion. Randy Orton wins the championship. He's being paraded around the ring on Batista's shoulders, and Triple H is giving him the thumbs up, and then he does the thumbs down and basically electric chairs him.
Yep, that's my number 3.
That was your number 3?
For the powerhouses that they were, and I really didn't see that one coming. And most of my list, the ones that are 4 and 5 on my list are ones that were slightly before my time or when I was a kid, whereas the ones 3, 2 and 1 are more ones I can remember better. So Evolution was number 3 for me, just on memory alone, because it was the first time I've been surprised in like 5 years.
Nice.
And it was great. And looking at how they've gone since too, you've got like a 14-time champion or something in Orton. Triple H is like the godfather of wrestling right now.
Yeah.
And
Flair was in there.
Flair is the godfather. Like Flair is the freaking emperor, and then you've got
Drax.
Yeah, it was really fun seeing him a couple weeks ago too.
It was great.
Yeah.
In the ring, because they've all, other than Ric Flair, aged pretty well, but Ric Flair's on the doorstep of death. So my number 5 was Kevin Owens turning on Sami Zayn in NXT. I have 2 recent and 3 historical ones. That was right when I got back into wrestling again, because Kyle actually was just like, "You need to watch this takeover. You need to watch it," and so I didn't even know both characters playing into it. And then now that I've like watched a shitload of more indie wrestling since then too, and seeing everything they did before they ever got to WWF or WWE, God, my list has WWF
right
on it clearly. It was really, really, really cool in the exact way that entire relationship that's the only way it should have started in WWE because of what they've done with it since.
Right.
Both going back and forth and just being frenemies.
It's a great shout. Very good shout.
So you've used two.
I've done two.
You've done two. Josh, you've done one.
So I did my number 3, but I can hit my number 5. And this was more due to the way in which it happened, and it was the fact that Kane literally set fire to Undertaker in a casket.
Okay.
If you remember that, it was like late 90s, and it was when they were together, and Bearer and Kane decided to turn on Taker. They came out to help him, and then turned on him, threw him in a casket, and set it on fire. Literal fire. So
this was after Paul Bearer already had
betrayed him
betrayed Taker,
yes.
used Kane, and then Kane and Taker teamed up.
Yeah. Yes.
Brothers.
Cool. Yeah. Which is great because that was my number 4, and it doesn't matter because it's not the same thing, so I'm not getting a fucking tattoo because my heart almost dropped out.
We're still close.
Paul Bearer turning on the Taker. Yeah, we're really close. Paul Bearer turning on the Undertaker to introduce Kane.
That's just my warning shot to you as to your confidence in
it's the dick tap, like just ready to. It's coming.
I just enjoyed that he set him on fire, which was a totally normal thing to do at the time.
Well, I mean, that's what y'all tried to do y'all's owners in Brighton.
Yeah.
So it's just
why not?
You had that's where you got the idea from. It's inspiration.
All right, number 4. Do you want to go?
I did. That's my 5-4. You did 5-4, right? You did 5-4. So let me go with 3.
He hasn't done 4.
I did 5-3.
He hasn't done 4.
So yeah.
What's your 4?
So my 4, purely because it was like I was so young, is the Sean and Marty barbershop window stuff.
I hate it when he kicks me.
Simply because I'm too young to remember it, but the significance it's played over the last 25 years of pretty much every wrestling betrayal in the world, you can pin back to a theme of that. So, like, even looking towards like the newer ones, like the Festival of Friendship has so many different parallels with the thing, and like I wanted to put that on there, but really it's kind of just saying like Sean and Marty point to. So,
well, it's in a lot of ways the blueprint that every time they try to spin off a tag team and take a star, it ends up being that.
Yep.
That was my 3.
That was why it was on there, but at 4, simply because it was before my time of really being able to remember a lot.
That was my 3 for the historical significance of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, winging it a little bit here, this is kind of a face turn.
This is your number 3.
This is my number 3. It was a face turn, actually, and it was The Rock turning on the corporation to join with Mankind in the Rock and Sock connection when he shed the corporate Rock gimmick.
Okay.
And teamed up with Mankind, and only because everything that came because of that relationship, which wasn't very long lasted, but like all of it was great, and it was I hated The Rock so fucking much, man. And Mankind was like so cool. I related to him. I was like a chubby young kid, had messy fucking hair.
Jumped off buildings.
I constantly jumped off of anything that had a fence.
As long as it was over 15 feet.
Yeah, it had to meet that. So I just would climb to the top of my middle school and just dive over and over and over again, which explains the brain damage and the willingness to get a tattoo of whatever thing we repeat. That was my number 3. Kyle, do you want to do your number 2?
Yep. My number 2 is Rollins over the Shield. It was done wonderfully. Shield was on top of the world. Back up. Hit him with a chair. It was great.
So you didn't have that, Josh.
That was my number 2 too.
God, with the Bills and this?
It was my number 2 as well. And the reason why...
Y'all should fuck.
He says we haven't.
Yeah.
That's true.
Before I moved back. It's the first time since Evolution. Well, even Evolution, I was like, oh, that sucks. With the Shield, like my mouth dropped open. I was like, holy shit.
Was Wyatt family, did it precede the Shield?
The Wyatt family and the Shield were at the same time because there was some serious
there was some fun matches between the Wyatt
proper
family and the Shield.
That's when Kyle tried to get me back into wrestling because he was like, watch these promos of Wyatt.
Yeah.
And
when they faced off in the ring for the first time and they all stepped in was the first time in like 5 years I've proper marked out since Taker Sean really at WrestleMania, since I'd thought man, this will be a lot of fun. So I was gutted when they broke up.
Okay.
The Shield first run.
My number 2 is a recent one, and it was Ciampa turning on Gargano.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Because I think What is this fucking TV doing? I'm turning it off.
Yeah, I don't think we need it anymore.
They hinted at it like 8 times over that course, and every single time it was like, cool, it's not going to happen, cool, it's not going to happen. And I was probably like smart marking, thinking like, cool, this is their match they wrestled that's going to allow them to get to the main roster. So expecting that move, and then for it to just be completely ripped. And because the ensuing rivalry has been so perfectly done from a time and how many times they've actually wrestled, which has been like one time too many because of circumstance and Aleister Black being hurt. Mm-hmm. It's been exactly the way a personal feud should be.
Yep. They've nailed it from word one.
And I just want to point out, we have one left each, and I haven't repeated a single one of your fucking choices.
Right. Correct. So if you have the same one as me on this, I'm gonna just...
What if we all three have the same? And I will get this tattoo. Honest to God, I hope it is.
Number 1 for me is WrestleMania 17. Austin sides with McMahon.
It's a big one.
To betray the fans. And that storyline of him versus McMahon and almost effectively end the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Historical significance of the fact that, I mean, Ross's call at the end of it was crazy.
Yeah.
Just
do an impression of that real quick.
I can't.
I'm not going to try it either. Yeah, that was one of the first ones that came into my head. Was that on that WWE Top 10? It had to be, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
That was like probably not at the top of my list. It's the first thing I thought of. And then I thought, like, well, everybody kind of knows that one, so I'm trying to think of something counterculture just to be different. Josh, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is not as recent as some of the others, but it's one that I remember even though I was super young, and it's been a big one ever since. It's Survivor Series 1997 in Montreal.
I thought about that.
The Montreal Screwjob. Because that did change the entire face of everything and effectively like ushered in an Attitude Era. It was kind of like the birth, as that yours was
the end.
Yeah. Like it really was like that entire thing, and back like pre-mainstream internet era where it was like, was it a work? Was it real? No one knew. Like it was so good. It was just so good. It wasn't good for Brett because he only got over it a year ago.
Brett screwed Brett, so.
Brett did screw Brett.
Yeah, the Montreal Screwjob sits at my number 1.
Okay.
So Montreal Screwjob was probably the second one that I thought of, and it's not the one I chose. But part of it was because at the time I wasn't watching. If I was, it definitely wasn't WWF because I thought that shit was like it'd have been elementary school me. It was just like, it's so gay, man. WCW is where it's at.
Fair.
Can I take
So my number 1 for WCW is the obvious one. Canyon turning on Raven's Fly. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not sure that even happened. Perry Saturn, face turn. It was Hogan turning on Macho Man. I guess Sting was in the ring at the time, but turning on all the faces in WCW and creating the NWO.
Okay.
So it's kind of like...
So that's what your number 1 is?
That's my number 1 is.
When you said that, I wasn't sure whether you were going for that or the Mega Powers Collide.
That's what I was thinking.
That was that's a really, really good one. And I only learned to appreciate that because of the Something to Wrestle With episode.
See,
And I didn't go with that NWO because I thought we were sticking straight with WWE.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, fuck me. I didn't even consider the name Top 5 WWE. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh, well, they own WCW, so technically...
Because otherwise, NWO would have been on my top 5.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Okay, cool. Then,
but actually, it doesn't...
Hold on, freestyle here.
We couldn't talk about that anyway, because that was fucking great shit.
Yeah, it was great. And the obvious, like, historical impact was awesome. But I don't think there's been... I didn't watch the Seth Rollins turn live. But I can't remember there being that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that drastic of a heel turn that had everybody just up in arms recently.
No, I can't think of anything.
Ciampa.
Well, yeah.
Ciampa, yeah. But I think...
That was more just...
Like, I hate you, Heat.
Yeah.
is like...
Well, and that's what... And I wonder the line there. The WCW fans that were at that show... Was it Bash at the Beach or something? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if in the 90s, smart marks collected themselves the pay-per-views like they do now. It's like with NXT, it's such a great crowd, period.
Right.
That I think if you do that in the WWE ring with the entirely same build, but you have 70% of the audience there that don't watch every week, there's probably not that same amount of booing. There's probably booing, but yeah. So we'll end on that with me breaking the rules to avoid a tattoo, apparently. So I apologize.
That's all right.
We're at the hour mark exactly, our longest episode.
Can we not get the Rae Carruth story?
Oh, fuck me.
I forgot Rae Carruth.
Hey guys, we're doing Rae Carruth and going full board here. Because honestly, like I said,
you need to know this.
The hosting for the podcast
I can't wait another week without seeing what is going on.
Okay.
Okay.
I can't wait for this.
Okay, so Rae Carruth. He was a receiver.
He was a footballer?
He was, yes.
Okay.
He played in the NFL. Sacramento, California, where he was born. Ended up going to Colorado. University of Colorado. Played all 4 years. Was a first-team All-American in '96. And he got drafted 27th overall by the Panthers.
Okay.
Hence why it's so big here.
Gotcha.
So...
And how many years have the Panthers been around? Not very... Was that the
This
first?
was in '97. They were around... This is like their second year that they were around. So, first year, rookie year. Not a bad little rookie year. 44 passes caught for 545 yards, 4 touchdowns. Solid. Was named to the all-rookie team. It was a different time in the NFL. They weren't throwing as much. It was... it's not like what they're doing now.
Right.
98, he broke his right foot in the opening game, so he had 4 catches for 59 yards. The season's done.
Before you continue, everyone that's listening, know that Kyle is leaning forward and looking Josh straight in the eyes, telling this story like it's a campfire story, and it's the greatest visual.
I'm really excited by it too.
Yeah, and I've got my dick out, so it's a party.
Which is awesome. So 99, this is when shit gets real, okay?
Okay.
Plays the first 6 games.
Oh, so he's back. This is season 3. Okay.
Plays the first 6 games. 14 catches, 200 yards. That brings us to November 16th, 1999.
Okay.
He and his then pregnant girlfriend, she was 8 months pregnant, they went out to a movie. They were on their way back on Ray Road.
Huh.
Yeah.
I know where that is.
Got to a stoplight.
It was actually named after him.
Yeah.
It just spelled it
Sure.
wrong.
Yeah.
Just dyslexic.
So he stops at a stoplight.
Good start.
So his girlfriend is right behind him.
Law-abiding citizen.
A car pulls up beside his girlfriend. Empties 5 shots into that car. 4 of them hit the girl.
Whew.
At that point, Rae Carruth drives off. The girlfriend, what is her name? Her name is... Sharika Adams.
So he's in his car. Mm-hmm. She's in the back seat.
Nope.
Different car.
She's different car.
She's in the car behind. She's following him.
home.
And someone comes by and unloads into her car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, following.
And he drives off.
He bails.
Bails off. She calls 911. Says, I've been shot. Rae Carruth stopped in front of me. I'm dating him. He stopped in front, and he has left at this point. They get to the scene. They ship her off to the hospital, where they do an emergency C-section to get the child out, and she ends up going into a coma. Rae Carruth said that, hey, I'll come in, if she dies or if the kid dies. The kid, Sharika Adams dies.
The girlfriend.
Yeah, about a month later. She was in a coma.
That sucks.
That day, he flees the city of Charlotte.
The day she dies?
Yes, flees to Tennessee.
Okay.
Not a fan of vegetables, that guy.
She
Seriously.
The FBI got a tip that he was in Tennessee. Goes out there, finds this girl that he was apparently associated with, and she's like, I guess that they get up to her hotel room and they're like, hey, is Rae Carruth here? She's like, no, he's not with me. As well as is he in the vicinity? She kind of like glances at her keys. So they take her down to her car. He's in the trunk of her car with bottles of urine because he's been peeing in there, like $3,900 in cash. He gets brought in for trial.
Before you go any further, is this more than you could have ever imagined?
Other than being a cowardly piece of shit, I'm struggling to understand the crime yet.
He gets brought in.
This is where I'm he's drove off, dickhead, like lowest level of dickhead,
Yeah.
but
Hooks in the water.
It comes
Right.
out.
I'm nibbling.
It comes out in this trial that the dude that pulled up and shot him is an associate of Rae Carruth's.
Okay.
Rae Carruth put a hit out on this girl because he did not want her to have a baby, have the child. He put the hit out for them to kill her and the child.
Banger's remorse.
Seriously, it's a long time too.
Yeah. Well, apparently they've been talking about how he wanted her to have an abortion and things like that.
And she would do it.
He wanted to do. The child lived.
Oh shit.
He has, since he went without oxygen for 70 minutes. Yeah, 70 minutes. He has brain damage and has cerebral palsy. Lives with Cherika's mother.
Okay.
And that man is Blake Bortles.
So obviously he was in jail since he never got convicted of murder because he was not the one that pulled the trigger. He was not given the death penalty. So he's gone through his term in prison.
Life, I assume, right?
On October 22nd, 2 days ago, he was released from jail.
That's why he was all over Twitter in the news.
Yes.
Because old Ray is out.
Ray is out.
Protect your pregnant ladies.
He's apparently, he wants to be in his son's life.
He's got to Pennsylvania though, right? That's what
I
I just read
think that
earlier.
the grandmother does not want him anywhere near this child.
So the last thing, I saw it on Twitter like an hour ago, is that Rae Carruth had moved to Pennsylvania, and I was like, spoilers.
The
Anyway.
Steelers need a slot receiver.
He also has a history of this.
He'd be a
Apparently
shot receiver.
Yeah, he strictly works out of the shotgun.
He really does. Or the
Pistol.
pistol.
He works in the pistol. He also has a history of being a shithead of a dad. Apparently,
No.
he was when he was a sophomore in Colorado.
I won't believe it.
His girlfriend gave birth to another son of his.
Is this the
And-
government that died, or
No,
the one that got away?
different one.
It's like
This is
Henry
the one that
VIII
got away.
on his hit list.
Carruth all but neglected this child, and the mother sued him for child support. The mother later testified that Carruth agreed to pay $2,700 in child support, which is half of what was ordered by the judge, and on the condition of him being a better father, and he failed to do so. But yes, so that is the story of Rae Carruth. He put a hit out on his wife, or on his girlfriend, threw away his entire career, and also the guy that
What a note
pulled the
to
trigger.
end on. Yes.
He did an interview with somebody, and they said that Rae Carruth was going to be getting out this year, and they asked him how he felt about it. And he said,
Was he not in jail too?
No, this guy's in jail.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's-
okay, good. Good epilogue.
And this guy said,
He gave birth to the child, actually, at the hospital.
It's the first male to carry to term.
he said that he hates Rae Carruth for completely ruining his life and getting him involved in that. But I mean, idiot, he pulled the trigger. He didn't have to.
Right.
Right.
But he also said when they said that he was getting out, they asked him how he felt about it. He goes, "Well, now I'm going to try to find a way to kill Rae Carruth."
Ooh, so the saga continues.
Yep. To be continued.
Yes.
Indeed.
It's like one of those movies where it gives you the flashbacks and then like it puts you in present day.
And then you're like, oh shit, it's
that's
still...
me in present day now. I'm like, like fade from black to the street. I'm like ready.
We're watching Josh rush to follow Rae Carruth on Twitter.
Yeah. Hashtag inspirational.
Oh my god. All right, that does it for episode 3. That was a great way to end it, I thought, with a bang.
Yeah.
4 bangs.
4 bangs.
You said
5. There's 5. 4 hit.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, yeah. The other one went into the fifth one went into the sunset, and they haven't gotten it out. I can't finish it by accident. This is why we need to fund Planned Parenthood. Everybody, rate, review, subscribe. Again, at Sports Twitter, thanks for coming on this ride for us.
At Sports Twitter.
At Sports Trebuchet.
On Twitter.
If we owned at Sports Twitter, we'd be fucking millionaires.
At Jack, make it happen.
Watch us interact with Sports Twitter, with at Sports Trebuchet. And if you're listening this far, please tell Donna and Shannon we said hello.
And broken ankles, doofuses.
Yeet!
It didn't stop recording. Still not. Or I keep hitting it.
Be safe, people.